What's up, everybody? It's Jordan again with Scott Family Farms. I'm here today. I'm going to show you our Case 275 tractor and tell you a little bit about it. This one's only 275 horsepower, and that's about all we need for doing what we do with it. So what do we do with this tractor? This tractor we mostly use for pulling our planter. We've used it for our grain cart. So on the back of the tractor we have, these are hydraulic hookups. Your hydraulic hoses go in there and you control that from the cab either up or down. This is the PTO, or the power takeoff. You would hook up a shaft that goes onto here, and that spins, and that would turn anything that you're running. And then of course the hitch pin and hitch, that's where you hook up anything you're pulling. That is the horsepower in this machine. Here's the other side. See the alternator. One thing we go through a lot of here on the farm, diesel fuel. Look at how big that tank is, and it actually goes under the stairs here. Throttle goes forward and backwards, up and down to shift gears. And here's all your controls for your hydraulics, up and down. There's 4 of those there. All this controls a bunch of other stuff. This is the PTO to engage the PTO on and off. So this tractor behind me is our Cat 865C Challenger. This is our big tractor. This pulls all our tillage equipment, anything big and heavy that we need to pull. This tractor has approximately 525 horsepower, compared to our red one with the big tires has 275, so double on this tractor. It also has the tracks, which helps us get through mud and gives it a nice smooth ride. So there we go. So all this black stuff you see there is graphite. It will allow the seed to travel through the tubes better. This is our Case 1245 is the number planter. It's a center pivot, as you can see. It is 40 foot wide, so it wouldn't go down the road this way very easily. We run 20-inch rows, so the spacing between each row is 20 inches. And this is a 24 row planter, so we do 24 rows at 20 inches, and that's 40 feet. It has center bulk fill tanks up there. The seed goes in these two middle ones. These outside ones are for starter fertilizer and corn. This is the seed tube that brings all the seed to the unit. Gotta get rid of that. There's a electrical right here that controls the V-drive motor. Gotta get rid of that. And then there's an air tube behind. That's hard to take off. Then the whole row unit comes out. And there's corn in it. No. These are the seed plates. This one's set up for corn. I'll show you what the bean ones look like. And this sits in here and spins and drops seed into your seed tube. So here's the soybean plate compared to the corn plate. Now the main difference here is the number of holes. This is the corn, this is the beans. You plant a lot more beans per acre than you do corn. That's why there's more holes. So this will drop more seeds quicker. So I showed you guys a little bit about the row unit that drops the seed. But I'll show you what all this other stuff does here. So on the front of the planter, these spin. These are trash rippers, they call them. And they get stuff out of the way as you're going through the field this way. They push stuff out of the way and make a nice clean path for the opening wheels that are the blades, opening blades down here. These spin and they cut a nice trench. The gauge wheels on the side here, they move up and down, and they kind of guide the whole thing. So behind those, there's this little piece that makes a nice firm seed bottom there and a nice trench. This dirty tube right here is where our fertilizer comes out. Our starter fertilizer will drop into the seed trench in a liquid form. And then right behind that is where the seed drops. And then behind that, these are closing discs. These discs are offset, which is a Case IH characteristic. And then behind that, we have our packing wheel, which rolls and just kind of packs and closes the seed trench. Now you'll notice there's a rib going right down the middle of this wheel. That puts a nice little line, basically, a little small trench, and that holds a little moisture, and that goes right into the seed trench. So up here is a cylinder for pressure. That's called delta downforce. This will put pressure on each row unit to keep it on the ground firm. You don't want that row unit bouncing through the field. You want the ground contact firm, and that allows it to do that. A lot of times that down pressure cylinder is actually lifting up because the planter is so heavy that it's putting enough pressure down to keep the row units nice and firm on the ground. On the back of the row unit here, this is your depth control. You can spin this and increase the depth of what you're planting. So corn and beans are planted at different depths, so we have to adjust that every time that we switch over from corn to beans. Up on top here, all these meters and switches are for our fertilizer control. So pretty much everything is adjustable on this planter. You can adjust how many seeds you're dropping per acre. You can adjust the volume of the fertilizer that you're putting down. You can change that. You can adjust the down pressure that the row unit's putting in the ground. You can adjust the depth. You can adjust air pressure on your vacuum. You can make a lot of different changes on this planter, and it's got to be set right, otherwise you're not going to be happy when you harvest your crop. Okay, so first we have what is called a Pro 700. This is Case's monitor, and this basically controls everything the tractor does. Controls all your guidance and your speed and things like that. This does control parts of the planter, like turning on markers and things like that. Turns on your vacuums and your bulk fills and your all that good stuff. This is a precision planting monitor. This is a 2020 monitor. This is what actually controls all of the precision parts that are on the planter. This will tell you your population, your singulation, where each seed is being dropped, if you're planting double seeds, two together, or missing spaces. It'll tell you where you're doing that. Skips. Tells you your speed also. This controls all of the motors. If we turn some rows off, this is what controls that, and the population and things like that. So this one back here is more precision planting. This is an air controller, controls some air pressure, and that actually controls those front sweeps, the pressure up and down. So that's all adjustable from the cab here. Now back to the iPad. This is a program called Field View from Climate. This will, let's see where we are. This is the field my dad just planted for soybeans. Right now it's showing population once it loads up. Right now that's showing the population that we planted in the field. But this will show you a whole bunch of different things, like your downforce. Applied downforce. You can see probably where some tire tracks are once this loads up. Yeah, so there's a driveway in this field right here. And you can see where there's some less down pressure. That's from either driving on it, or the ground's too hard or too wet or something. But that looks pretty good. So this monitor controls a lot of that precision stuff, and it gathers a bunch of information that we can go back and look at throughout the year and find out what we did where and when and all that good stuff. Alright, we got the disc hooked up. The difference between the disc and the finisher, the disc has just 2 rows of big blades that cut deep and turn the dirt over, and the finisher kind of smooths everything out and lifts dirt and makes it fluffy. This will cut up a lot more stuff. That's why we have it on right now. I'm going down into an area where it was too wet last year, and there's a lot of overgrowth and trash and stuff that we need to work into the soil. So that's why I have the disc on today.